Excellent. So let's start with another Fleet Friday. We are going to do the next mission. But first, we're going to come back and check out the mission that's wrapping up in only 5 hours for the supply and logistics mission. So, just as a reminder, game's free to download. You log in using an account set up on the Fleet server. So, if you don't have an account yet, just click here, and then you can create your own username and password and play the game. That website is in the upper right corner. You can click Download Fleet to download the game. It is completely free. And we are going to look at two missions today. We are going to first start with one last run through of supply and logistics. That's the competition closing today for the very prestigious Hall of Fame induction ceremony to happen in a little over 5 hours. And then we will open up a competition for the heavy seas operations, where we will see who can traverse the dangerous heavy seas. They don't quite look that sunny, I'll be honest. When we get into the mission, you'll be surprised by how angry the seas can get. All right, so this is my dry dock. If you haven't seen this before, this is where we work on ships. We pull the ship into here, pump the water out. We can weld. We can do electrical repairs. We can do all kinds of work. This is the boat that we ended up with last time. And so what I'm going to do is walk through this boat. So I'm right clicking to look around the boat. I am seeing that I have two green boxes and a red and a blue box, purple box. These are the things that we're delivering. So the idea behind the supply and logistics mission is that these are supplies and we provide the logistics, the getting things to the right place at the right time by taking these materials across the ocean to 3 different ports. So you can see that we're just under budget, and let's look at what we put on the ship. So we have a ton of structures, right? And in this ship, we can actually change. We have a couple options for bows. Our hull can be 1 length, which we have, or 10 lengths long, or any number in between. And I hope that you've been experimenting with that. And then our rudders help us steer the ship. The stern, there's only one stern in the game currently, but it's the back of the ship. This is the stern that we have. And then the superstructure is this nice, sleek, low, very aerodynamic place where all the crew is, all the electrical components. It's the real heart of the ship from the human factor standpoint. So we also had to add some propulsion, right? So that means our engine, and we have the turbocharged diesel. We went fast, we went expensive, we put a lot of money in here. But it meant that we had to go cheap on the propellers. And I hope that you experimented with going through and using the very efficient propeller system to see if that was going to gain you time in and out of ports, gain you the ability to accelerate out of these docks. So now we're all complete. So we're going to take this boat out, but just as one last reminder, we are going to do the speed test. And we're going to hit play. And the speed test is the best way to check out some critical components of your ship. Namely, how fast is it? We got to see how fast it is. And so what we're doing right now is just trying to get between those buoys as quickly as possible. You can see I clicked this speed 2x button, which makes time go twice as fast. That just allows us to get more through more of the gameplay. In certain missions, you really want to not be having time go twice as fast. Like if we're rescuing man earners, it's a good time to slow down, take our time. But for a speed test and with this big old hulking 2 million pound boat, we got time, and it's better to just accelerate time a little bit. But we can take a look and see how great a ship we made. I'm right clicking to look around. For this mission, it's not too critical to be able to change the viewpoint while we are underway, although very cool. In the search and rescue mission, it's almost required. It's the only way to really gain vantage points and get the real life view of if you were on the deck of this ship, what's happening around you. And I talked a little too much, got a little too close to that buoy. but we'll do one last left turn and we'll get through here. And a super slow but pretty good for this mission, 2 minutes and 33 seconds. All right, so let's go into the mission one last time. So if you haven't done this yet, you can jump right in, and we are going to do this supply and logistics mission here. Okay, so it's going to start us with the map. I'm going to use WASD now because now so we can also use the arrow keys. I use WASD. We are going to go from here. This green boat is where we always are, and we're just going to go right around this. Okay. So I'm going to click M to get rid of it, but if I ever need to see the map again, I click M. Making time go twice as fast, accelerating and turning right. So the buoys have different colors, and based on the colors match up with the map. And so we're going to the red buoy because we wanted to go to the base to the right, which was red. And then we will go to the blue base, and then we'll end up at the pink base. And whoa, way overturned. Too much backseat driving. Not looking at where I'm going. But you can see again, I clicked speed 2x. This first screen is really where you decide which point you're going to shoot for, and then it kind of determines how you initially intend to go to each base. We looked last time at the achievements, and so one huge achievement that we need to make is that we try not to travel more than 11,500 kilometers. And if you look at the map, you can add up some totals to make sure that your nautical miles is not exceeding 11,500. Alright, so we're just about here, and it's okay to try to ram the buoy. It's really just bringing you to a cut screen. And the cut screen is so gorgeous. We get a sunset, and then we get night lights on our boat, and stars. And we are off the California coast, so this is great Pacific Ocean stars today. And then the stars start to fade away as we get a beautiful sunrise. And we are zooming into our beautiful ship. And this is obviously exactly the ship that we designed. Alright, so we are coming into port now. Our speed is down to 0 essentially, and we need to get into here. So we are going to fly or rumble slowly, but I prefer to think of it as flying. So we are moving quickly to this port, and then if I wanted to check, I could see that the next port I'm going to go to is the blue port, and I can see that that's the buoy I need to get to. So I'm going to have to come out of here and take a really hard turn to get over to this buoy. Alright, so I'm already thinking ahead during the boring parts, which is trying to get this big old 2 million pound boat into this harbor. And once I get close, it gets a little bit more, I guess, stressful. But you just got to pay a lot more attention, because I can't hit this wall, I can't hit this wall. Collisions will definitely knock us out of contention for the high score. So we are motoring into port, so we can drop off our first set of equipment. Alright, and so we're into port. They've turned us around. We are unloading. Oh, they're unloading it now, these nice people. And so now we have no more equipment on the front. We got rid of one of them. We got 2 more deliveries to make. So our stuff's unloaded. Drifting out of here. Oh, don't want to run into the own dock. So I turned away and then turned into it, and that helped move the stern, the back of the boat, out of the dangerous spot. Now I'm turning into danger, right? I'm about to run into this island. We'll see if I can steer enough. So that was holding down hard left and full throttle. Because if I'm going to set a high score, I pretty much need to keep throttles open the entire time, because someone else has, right? But if I bump into something, if I ground my ship on an island, if I do something that's detrimental to the ship, then I'm going to lose points, and that's going to ensure that I don't set the high score for another reason. So when we're engineering these solutions to these missions, a big part of it's engineering the ship, and we got the most expensive engine and kind of built around that. And another part is really engineering the solution. So it's pretty critical to think about not only the ship you build, but how you're using it. So that I'm good with the stars, but the rest of it, too much. It's just too much right now. So we can see the harbor that we're going for right now. I am maxed out speed again. You can see that my nautical miles is increased to 6,560. And I could add these up. So I couldn't add up the little bit of mileage we drive from going from the beacon to the harbor and from the harbor back out to the beacon. But I can estimate it because that's 2 to 3 miles per stop compared to the 3,000 mile plus trips it takes to get to each port. So we can definitely do some math to make sure that we are meeting this objective and we're not relying on this to see whether or not it works out. It's good to see someone failed, right? It's a bad omen right there, but we're going to turn hard right now and try to hit this opening right in the middle of our turn. So I'm just keep turning a little bit. I think I start turning early, which is good because it's not quite as hard. But at the end, we still need to make a big 90-degree turn at 12 knots. So making sure that we're not hitting anything. Ooh, it might have been a little too much, but made it just in time. All right, so they're unloading our cargoes. We got rid of the green boxes on the back, and we are ready to go. They have unloaded our stuff yet again. And so now we have to go to the last base, our pink base, our pink harbor, I should say. So again, we got to make some turns to get through this channel here. And if you've played this mission as much as I have, there's a pretty dangerous little sandbar over here. So we want to not really go straight. We kind of want to go towards this island, stay away from this corner here, and then take a right and stay in the middle of this channel that's here. And that way we don't have any collisions. Alright. So we are turning into the pink buoy. We will be making our last delivery. And we still got time going twice as fast. And we're about to wrap this up. Oh, that would have been a nice collision. So I'm going to hit escape again to get through this a little bit more quickly so we can get to the next mission. But we need to just get from here to here, from where we are to down here in this harbor, and we will be done. I'm going to go a little bit to the left so I can make this turn a little bit easier. But this is our last delivery. We only have this helicopter fuel, this purple box left here. So we are motoring in. It looks like we will be under the objective. So if you were taking notes on how we made the journey, you could do the same pathway, or maybe there's a better pathway. Definitely worth exploring. You know, you could see that we had to take 2 really tough turns to make this path. And there might be a better situation where if you reorder the order a little bit, getting in and out of the harbor would not only be safer but quicker. It's possible. But we shall keep motoring in, hopefully not collide with anything, and we shall wrap up this last look at the supply and logistics mission. Alright, so we're getting in there, just about wrapping up. We've got a nice sunny day starting here, and we are done. Not too bad. So now they got to unload our stuff. So when we get to 0 stuff, we have completed the mission. So the next ship that we're going to build is also a large ship. That's not my best, but that's pretty good. If you get that score, you're going to be doing all right. So let us go back to the dry dock and take one last look at this boat. We have a huge boat right now. It's 1,007,631 kilograms. And we can see that we could have even made it bigger if we would have increased if we look at our hull, it's one length, and it could be up to 10 lengths. So this ship could even been larger. The next ship that we're going to do is actually specifically designed for heavy seas, and so bigger is better when it comes to heavy seas. There's also a class of ship in between this crazy big delivery ship and having something that just would not work in heavy seas. So we are looking again at the dry dock, and it's going to show us the original boat, but you'll see ooh, what did I check? I would like to go back to mission headquarters. Let's choose the heavy seas. So we're building a boat to recover underwater robots, basically. These are drones that work underwater, and they have different type of sensors or different missions, but when they resurface, they need to be returned. So let us take a look. Okay. So I'm going to trash this boat so we can start from the beginning. And now we have options. So we could either do the same type of hull or the cutter hull form. We're going to do both today, okay? So I'm going to rebuild the cargo hull, but this time, because I mentioned it a bunch of times, we are going to make it long. So I just clicked on it, left clicked on it, and now I'm extending this boat. And I still need to add on my bows. I'm going to choose the second configuration, and you can explore and see which one works best for you. And then there's just one stern. So now our boat, just the hull alone, weighs 1,258,846 kilograms, which, if you have a calculator or access to Google, is quite a lot of pounds. That's about like 2.5 million pounds. That is a crazy amount of weight. But we got a few more things to add to the ship, so it's actually going to get heavier. So let's just use this as a checklist. We'll start with propulsion. We'll add in propellers. We'll try to see if we can afford the high efficiency. We will try to see if we can afford the expensive engine of the choices here. And then we will try to see what rudder makes sense. So we're going in heavy seas. So this is like makes you go faster. This helps you turn better. I think balance. Really, you'll see, like, the problem is more the waves than actually how you're operating the ship. It's more of a anticipating the evil that's about to hit your ship. We are going to go with a superstructure. Let's use the tall one first. See how this goes. Look how tiny this is compared to the hull. We could put it anywhere. But especially for those of you that made sea purchase, we definitely know that we want the weight to be balanced in the middle of the ship as much as possible. If anything, you want it a little bit back, so that way your bow's a little bit elevated in the water, but middle is great. We're still underweight, but we still need things. So let us add in communications. And so we will play with this in a little bit, but we will add a Doppler tower right in the front here. And then we will also add our AUV retrieval, which is a equipment under cargoes. So not these four, but if we click over here, so this bar here moves back and forth, we can click this, and we can put this anywhere. We will put this right, tuck it right here. I hit R to rotate things if you ever need to do that. We will bring the cheapest of the rescue boats with us, and you can experiment to see if this faster one is better for you. I am used to the slower one, so we will put that in the middle here. Alright, so we're still too light, but we're under budget, so this is looking okay. Alright, so let us add in our last big idea, right? We always do these ballast tanks, and they're a little bit hard to think about, but you can see these are the green tanks that are under the ship, or not under the ship, but at the bottom of the ship. That's a word, right? It's a good word. And what we're going to do is fill up these containers with water, and that's going to provide the foundation, the real structure. So when we're being pushed around these heavy seas, we have something that's going to be holding us steady. And that's going to be the cheapest thing on the ocean, which is definitely ocean. So we are going to fill these up. And actually, let's fill up even more than what we need a little bit. We'll go over. We'll be a 3 million pound boat today. All right. So we are done. We are ready to go out. All right. So what's happening now with the dry dock? The water is being pumped in through these devices, so it safely picks up our ship. And then we are going to be able to take this out after we make sure it's safe for people to be on. Woo! That is not safe. Alright, so that rocked way too much. Our foundation was not strong enough. So there's two things that we can do. This looks tall and wobbly. The weight of the radar tower is up here, and this structure really doesn't help us out. But let's try to make it work. And to make that work, we can either do two things. So we're too tall, right? We have too much weight up high compared to what we have down low. So let's max out the weight we have down low to try to keep this weight up high. Alright, so that means we are going into our structures. We are choosing our ballast tanks. And then it gives us this water button. We're going to edit the water tank fill levels. By edit, we mean add as much as possible. And so let us fill up these tanks. And if we got to keep an eye on our displacement, means weight, because what we are doing is adding weight to be able to. We are adding a bunch of weight, and the weight is what moves the other water out of the way. And the amount that the ship weighs is actually equal to the weight of the water that it moves out of the way. And that's why it's called displacement. So we have maxed out as much water as we can fill here. We have all dark blue. So let us try that again. Yes, it's going. Yeah, I see good comments in here. It's going to be some rough waters, and the weight here is quite the sticking point. Oof, that does not look good for passing again. So we tried, right? We maxed out the weight at the bottom. It was unsuccessful in mitigating or fixing or counteracting this type of radar tower. So we're going to do one last thing before we fix this problem completely. I'm going to hit escape so we can do this quickly. But in addition to the length of the boat, we can jack up the radar tower. So we knew that it was a problem when it was 1 tall. So now that it's 8 units tall, let us have a little bit of fun with this test of how stable our ship is. I can give you a hint. It is not stable. It is going to be quite a disastrous move. But got to break it sometimes to know how to fix it. So we are going to have a very bad fixed roll position test now. And actually, if you do this in the other hull, it may not even be able to recenter itself. That is just way too unsafe. So what we need to do is try out another comm tower. This is not going to work out for us. So let us get rid of this comm by deleting it. And then we know that we can add in the comm that's on the top of the deck. But let's try and add the dish tower and see if that we can add that. And I'm going to take away this taller aft decked house, and add in the lower profile one to try and take as much weight as possible down. So it still looks a little suspicious, but let us give it a test. So I'm not 100% confident, but we have done as much as we can to handle one of these taller radar towers. We've maxed out the weight in the foundation and the ballast tanks in the bottom of the boat. Oh no! We have locked up. We have completely locked up. This is a shut it down and start it up again moment for sure. We are going to close the program and restart it. That is a shame. But it happens from time to time. And the computer I'm using, the Lenovo ThinkPad, may not be the most powerful computer. It could be in the bottom 5% of weakest computers. But we will get back into the mission and give it a shot. Alright, so we're opening it back up now. It's checking for all the resources just like usual. And it's working. Just working slow. Slow, slow, slow. Now faster. Just having a bad Friday. Should be having a good Fleet Friday. Now it's racing. Yeah, you can see that. So that it was hung up for a bit. Now we're ready to launch. Logging in yet again. Thanks again to O&R and Navitech for all their leadership on this project, making this work out for everyone and making sure that we can provide this free to everyone. And now we can log in. When you rush, that's when accidents happen. Alright, so we're almost back to where we were. But we will, in the sake of time, we are going to go with the comm tower that has the least issues. And so you can definitely explore with the radar tower and see how that works out with you. I'm going to probably also, because my computer seems to be not operating at full capacity right now, I'm going to show a setting that's about the FPS, about how there's 6 levels of display in the game, and we are going to go to the weakest, so that way it doesn't happen in the last little bit that we have to get, and we can focus on the gameplay. So we have loaded the game. We are going to mission headquarters and heavy seas, and we will see the boat that we were working on. We will escape to get into the dry dock right away, and we should definitely need to change that setting soon. Alright, so we've got, it went all the way back. It didn't save it because we didn't get out of the dry dock. So we're going to settings first. Quality level, we're at fastest already. Okay. And then what we're going to do is change this ship. So we're just going to modify this one at this point. So we're going to take away the things that we don't need. And then we are going to add the comms that we do need, and add in the other materials that we need. So let's actually add in the rescue boat first. That's the biggest of the 3 things. The largest. Not the most important, but the largest. So we'll put that up front here, and then we'll add in comms that fit securely on top right here. And that's actually a more stable place to locate them. And then the AUV retrieval is a cargo that is right here. So we click it, and I'm going to hit R to rotate it, and now everything's snapped into place. We got the right weight, we have the right components. So let us take out this ship and finally see this mission. That's like 30 minutes of stalling before showing the big mission for the week. That's a different way to go about it. So what's interesting is this is us getting out of the harbor. Ooh, we passed, but that was close. Let's do. We already know how fast this boat is. Let's do the heavy seas operation. We should test it. We just don't have time. And so now we're out at sea, and now the radar here is showing us where we need to go. And it gives us a general direction, and then it starts to lock in, And the better the radar we bring, the better information, the quicker it gives us great information. I'm going to hit speed 2x for a little bit, but we're going to have to undo this. It just takes a while to start going. But you can definitely tell that these seas are quite heavy. This is quite a monster of waves where, this boat's weighing 2 million pounds and so long that, we could fit 10 ships, 10 boats along the end. And so we are going to rescue these 3 dots. And so again, these are the underwater equipment that have surfaced and is ready to be put back on the ship. And we can either use a rescue boat or our large ship. And actually, we'll probably do a mix of both. I'll try to pick up the first one with the large ship, and then one of the last 2 with the rescue boat. And we'll just see how it's going to see whether the third one gets picked up. Whoa! That was quite the swell. Quite a large wave that we just slid down. But the way radar works is up is straight. So I'm using the radar to adjust where I'm steering the ship. And this game uses the highlight technology around the things of importance. So we should start seeing the outline of the thing that we're trying to recover soon. But as you can see, I'm being pushed around pretty dramatically by these heavy seas. Probably having that 10 length long boat that I lost to the game reset might not be the worst idea. Maybe bigger is better here. Something for you to explore this week coming up for sure, as you try to set the new high score for this mission. Alright, so we are sneaking into the first spot we need to rescue something. And then you can tell, because the other 2 dots are to the left, I've got to go left after I save this thing. So I might even turn a little bit right so that I'm already turning left as I save the rescue equipment. Alright, let me make this a little bit bigger. That's a little small. Alright, better. Alright, we're getting there. Oh, I need to turn right. Got distracted with making the screen the right size. There we go. Alright. So it should be near here. The smoke is always in the way. Oh, there we are. We're going over here, right? And so I am doing what I thought I should do. I'm hanging a little bit to the right so I can turn, and I probably pick it up on this side of my ship. These waves are so strong, though, and I'm going so slow still, that I'm not slowing down. This thing's still far away, and I need to use the might of my engines to get close to this thing. And now I'm starting to feel like I've got it within like a reasonable distance. There's like 3 or 4 waves between us. So I'm starting to really line up the rescue. And I'm probably going too fast, but I hesitate to slow down too much till now. Alright, so I got a big wave between us, I think. But we need to not be going 13 knots to save this thing. So I don't want to run into it, right? Collisions are still a bad idea. Ooh, that is too slow, too fast. Alright, so let's go back with the rescue boat grabbing. That was close. Alright, so I shouldn't go full speed, but I wanted to get us going. Alright, so we are going to do the same thing. We're going to go get close to this guy. And so I was going too fast, where I thought I should have checked down, but was hesitant to. Probably just needed to have a little bit more faith. But you can see this. Alright, so we were able to rescue it. It tells us that in the upper corner. And you can tell, like, this ship, this boat, ooh, out of control. This boat is a lot smaller. So we are able to drive it and stop it when we want to. Where this ship weighs 2.5 million pounds as presently constructed. So we are not able to stop it exactly where we want it. It's kind of interesting when the back of the boat comes out of the water. You can see all the propellers and rudders that we chose to use. And now don't want to. Oh. So I'm gonna have a collision. That is not ideal. I was hoping to click that button before I ran into my own ship, but not quick on the draw. All right. So now we are motoring to the last two, and so I can either use the rescue boat like we just did, or the ship. If I can get it with the ship, that sounds quicker, right? I don't have to deploy the boat. I don't have to bring the boat back. But that means I got to be better at driving this ship. The ship is quite heavy. It requires getting used to. There's a big wildcard factor in these waves, which are really pushing us around. And if you watch my speed in knots, my engines are going full speed, right? Sometimes we get up to 19, and sometimes these waves check us down to 9. And that's just the random interaction of the waves and the simulated forces from those waves and the simulated forces from my ship, and that really is similar to how this would work in real life. Sometimes these waves are going to work with you to help push you along a little bit. Other times you're going right into the waves, or they're moving you to the side and keeping your engine out of the water, and that's going to really slow you down. But we are traveling through some big distances. I need to get these in front of me, not to the left of me. Alright, so now we're getting close. So I should have immediately corrected that course, but I was focused on talking a little bit too much. I don't quite see them yet, though, but they should be here soon. It's kind of like misty mountains in front of us, trying to get through this fog and heavy seas. And we'll see soon. There's a lot of weather in this game. Weather really changes how we're able to work with these ships. But sometimes the ships are designed, like the missions they're intended to be used for, almost always happen in these bad weather conditions. So we see two of them now, and so we are turning in so we can line these two up, and then we're going to learn from I'm going to learn from my mistake a little bit and try to slow down a touch earlier. And what I really want to get down to is probably I was going 10 knots at the end when it was too fast. So something closer to 7 knots seems like a reasonable speed. Alright, so we're getting close. Got a wave between us, but we're getting there. And I'm lining it up on the right side here. We're gonna pull it in right here. And actually, I feel comfortable with my speed enough to stop slowing down for a moment. So now I want to hit the brakes again. There we go. We got it. We got it. So we can recover these underwater robotics vehicles by using the large ship or the rescue boat. And you can see as we execute this mission, you certainly have options. But my 2 cents, my suggestion, since we're here having a nice Twitch talk, or you might be watching this later on a good YouTube channel, if you don't have to deploy the rescue boat, then you're saving yourself 2 trips in the rescue boat. That said, I think I'm about to go right by this. We'll see if I'm able to slow down in time. Oh, collision. And... oh! Just missed it. That was close. But you can tell, so every second that we take from now on could have been avoided if I just would have been, 1 knot slower. So let's see how long it takes us to get this. Oop, I don't want to go backwards. I still need to go forwards a little bit. Get this monstrous thing towing behind. Oh, don't crash. So we got it on or with this ship. Oh, and now I'm crashing into the back of the boat. It's not a good place to crash into because I can't get the boat back on the ship from there. Ooh. Don't. Too much ramming of the ship. Ah, all right. 4 collisions, and so what it ended up taking us, I think it was at 16:11. Took about 44 seconds to go get that last one after I missed it. Uh, and so let's check the logbook. So that's the big idea, right? And so in our missions and achievements, we are going to be doing the Heavy Seas operation. And in the leaderboard, oh, I wish. It's so good to have an organization by yourself. I was 1,000 points behind first spot. Uh, and so there's a lot of improvement to be had there, right? Let us use the other hull design, make a ship so that way you can at least see the two options, and really give this a good shot this week. See if you can set the high score. Uh, and you should definitely take a baseline of 1,600 as something that you can exceed easily, I hope, but exceed nonetheless. So we're going to delete everything. We're going to start from scratch from the hull up. And so when we choose this hull, it doesn't have the option to change the hull length or choose a different bow. It is all put together as one piece. But we'll notice our weight's a lot less, and we will take a look at the time and see how that plays into it. But we still need to build it again. So we're going to use this as a checklist again. We are going to try to invest in the high efficiency. We're going to spend all the money we can. We'll see how that works out for us. Alright, so we got the turbo engine, the high efficiency propellers. The rudders all cost the same amount, and I'm still not convinced that any of them were good. Like better than the others. We'll try low drag. Maybe that'll help us get there quicker. And then with the deck house, we'll see if this fits. We'll do the sleek design, and then we'll add in our rescue boat on the front. And then we will add in our comms to the top, and we'll use the same one that got us out before. And we are very light. We need the AUV retrieval, which is a cargo. And we will rotate this. So we're still 10,000 under budget. So even though we chose all the expensive propulsion materials, we're still good. But we do need to get the weight right. So we have our water tanks. We're going to fill these up, especially in the center first. But we are not even close. I think we're going to fill them completely up, which probably isn't a bad thing to have that sturdy foundation as we go into these heavy seas. So we're at 407,000 kilograms. Probably need to be higher. We will fill them up. There we go. So we're at 434, and this is what we got. I can't afford, so the only other choice I would have to spend more money is I could go bigger on the rescue boat, right? This is 160,000. This is 120,000. But only have 9,000 extra. I don't have 40,000 extra to afford the better one. So we are leaving the sunny port to go out into these dangerous, treacherous seas to work with these autonomous underwater vehicles. Now that we have our AUV equipment on our ship. And so at this point, if you've been following every Fleet Friday, you've seen every cargo. And so the cargoes are all in there for different missions, but you sometimes can use cargo from one mission to help you with another mission. It's always an opportunity. But if you use this cargo, you better have some AUVs in it in your mission. Alright, so we are still going left a little bit. I feel like this ship's a little bit faster, but we will see if that's a good thing or if I end up wasting our time by going by the AUVs again. So I'm already at 23 knots, and I don't recall going above 19 knots in the last ship. So if we're able to manage the speed, then we are going to have a better time. We can get through the same distances in a much better time. So We are going quickly with the dot right in front of us to try to save this underwater rescue, or this underwater equipment. And so these drones are used for many different sensing and operational missions, but they clearly have no people on them. So some ship, or and people have to go and actually reacquire them so that they can get back to safety. If they were able to travel, tens of thousands of miles, they could leave a port directly. Um, that energy required is quite large. So using a ship to deploy the asset a little bit closer to its mission makes a lot of sense. All right, so we see we're going over here. I know that 10 knots is way too fast. I'm going to start checking down now because it's a little bit hard to get a bead on how far this thing is, but I should start using my radar more than my eyesight. That would probably be the good idea on how to exactly know how far it is, so I can make sure I'm slowing down at the right time. Basically, I feel like if I have to use the rescue boat, I am not having a successful mission. Uh, it's going to be hard for me with my limited rescue boat skills to get that boat out and back without colliding with things, and to do it quickly. Uh, and usually I do it slowly and still collide with things. So we are going to slow down time, slow down the ship. I'm going to try and go in reverse. I should have got that. We are still going away. I had the engines all in reverse. We are trying to turn backwards, so I hit left so I would turn right when I go backwards. And let's try to save this thing without getting off the ship. But, again, there should have been... So now, to stop going backwards so fast, I need to put the engines forward. And we were able to rescue it by going backwards with the ship. But again, I need to slow down. So now I'm taking a hard left to get these dots so that they're right in front, not beside me. I need them in front of me because that means I'm heading towards them. And so the outside circumference of this circle is 4,000 meters from my ship. And so as I turn towards these two dots, I would say the first dot is a little bit more than halfway. So a little bit more than 2,000 meters, a little bit more than 2 kilometers from me. And then it looks like they are about 1/10 of the screen from each other. So they're about 400 meters from each other, a little bit less than half a kilometer. So these real world distances can really help think about how to make this ship as best as possible. I am up to 34 knots though. I hope you noticed that. That is an insane speed. I must be being pushed by some pretty good currents and wind right now. Oh, and then it immediately drops away. The wave that was motoring me along just went away, and I dropped 16 knots down to 18 like right away. But that's what the heavy seas operations is about. As forces help you, you can do some tremendously fast things. As the forces start to counteract you, you are fighting uphill at every moment. So let me get a little bit closer, a little bit faster. But then we will uncheck this button pretty soon because, as we have documented with extensive video evidence, I drive too fast. And it is not the way to be the most successful at this mission. Alright, so this thing is getting pretty close. I'm going to uncheck this. I feel like I need to turn left a little bit. There we go. It's right there. And I'm going to put all stop right now. So I need to go from 27 to 7. I can go faster if I need to when I get closer. but I am most concerned with going past this thing right now. So we are getting close, and I'm already getting impatient, so I'm speeding up again. And now I need to slow down a lot, turn into it without colliding with it. And then we can see the next one's going to be on the left over here. Alright, so we want to go, I'm going to inch forward. So we want to get it so that green rectangle shows up, that we're in the part of the boat that can get this thing out of the water. Ooh. That was, I thought I would have started saving it sooner. Turning into it. Alright, this will work this time. Oh no! I started accelerating too soon. This is a picture of impatience. Alright, so now I'm even running into it, which is not letting me save it. But now we're next to each other. We'll see whether the collisions that it's most concerned with are ship-on-ship collisions, bumping into the thing that you're rescuing. Not ideal, but I don't think the score is as heavily decreased. But we shall see. On the plus side, I think the engineering of the ship has gotten markedly better. That this hull design has some real advantages. The driver has some real disadvantages, but if you're able to think critically about how to engineer the ship and then execute your mission, practice, but think about how you want to do it and get used to the actual getting close to these AUVs and pulling them onto your ship, I think you'll have a successful week. Those high scores are pretty high, but they're definitely attainable. So I really encourage you to take some time this week to work hard on this mission. We didn't take any measurements today, and that's a real fault of mine. But we had a lot to get through. But you should make sure you're using data tables. Oh, I think I gotta go out with the boat. I was just I was not close enough, and it dropped me off on the wrong side of my boat. That is tough. All right, so I'm turning, but so I've gotten around my boat. Need to get over next to this thing. Going no miles an hour. Getting up to a little bit of knots, but trying to slow down. These waves are beating me up. Oh, I'm turning and it's just shoving me into my own boat. Alright, so let's go backwards then. Yeah, this was not the right... I should have fought it out with the big ship. These waves are pushing me around a whole lot. Alright, but at least I did get it. And now I'm just waiting for this button to pop out. Ooh, that collision is no good. I need to go a little slower next time when I approach. A little slower. Whew. Same score. 2 collisions too. That was really something that we could have avoided. But the big idea is that we're doing heavy seas operations for the next week. We have quite a large budget. If you are participating heavily in Fleet Friday today, you have 4 more hours to set the high score in the supply and logistics mission. So give that a big shot. That's where we use the larger hull design, go harbor to harbor, and then this heavy seas operation is always available. So definitely give it a good shot. If you ever need to email us, you can email us at fleet@navalengineers.org. The game is free at fleet at Fleet Naval Engineering, fleetengineering.org. And I think that's a good sign that it's time for me to wrap this up. But thanks so much for participating. Have a great day.